Next is the drought update. Ms. Taylor.
Thank you very much, Chair Burney and Commissioners. I'm here this afternoon, and I will be presenting the Stage 2 drought update with Kelly Dyer. And this presentation was presented to the City Council this month.
Chair Burney, Commissioners, I'm Kelly Dyer, Water Resources Supervisor, and the outline of today's presentation is to walk through the water supply outlook, discuss supplemental water, and as well as drought response capital projects. So many people that have been following our discussions the last 8 months or so are very familiar with this chart, but I thought I'd take a moment just to remind those who maybe haven't seen it before what it is. And so this is our current supply strategy that we do based on our long-term water supply plan. We plan for a 6-year dry weather period, and we are currently in year 3. And these projections, because we've had the 3 driest consecutive years in recorded history, we've actually adapted our plan in response to the extreme dry conditions. And so this projection assumes there are no reservoir inflows and no state water going forward, which is consistent with what we've experiencing. And so the purple bar at the bottom is our recycled water. The dark blue bar is our Cachuma entitlement. Medium blue is carryover storage at Cachuma. Light blue is Gibraltar supplies. The green bar is our state water. And yellow is groundwater. Orange is supplemental water purchases. And green is desal. The red bar is the amount of conservation that reflects our goals for extraordinary conservation. This is conservation beyond our normal conservation program, where we really need people to go above and beyond during periods of drought. So we're currently in year 3, and our supplies have been tracking as planned. And looking ahead to year 4, we are planning to use more supplemental water purchases and groundwater, and less supplies from Cachuma and Gibraltar. This shows basically the supply component, zooming in just for year 3, which is our current water year. The water year goes from October 1st through September 30th. So we're just approaching the end of year 3, and the very far left bar represents our plans for the whole year. The middle bar represents what we had planned for year to date through June, and then the bar all the way to the right is our actuals. And so we are tracking as planned. We've used a little bit more state water, the green bar, than originally planned, but generally we're on track in terms of the totals, which is good. This is a chart of our monthly demands. We've been watching these every month. And the green dashed bar green dashed line is what we would plan based on the average seasonality of demands. And the blue dashed line is our target for the 20% demand reduction. And so you can see in the months of June and July, we've really seen a great response from our community in meeting the targets for the 20% savings. This looks at it in a different way. So,
I'm sorry. One moment. Mr. Russell? Or Mr. Ruiz?
Yeah, could you go back?
Sure.
I just want to make sure that I understand this presentation, because I've watched it a couple of times now. And I guess I'll start by saying, why is water year 2014 planned and water year 2013 different?
Water year 2014 planned is based on an average of the last 5 years, while the water year 2013, there's slight variations from month to month, but and that's because of weather and rainfall. So every year there's always fluctuations from month to month. At the end of the year, for water year 13, we ended about 3% higher overall than what we would normally have planned.
Okay. And then just so we have a common understanding of 2014 actual, it's my understanding that that is total potable metered water sales, including the 3 irrigation classes. Is that correct?
It's actually total production overall system-wide. So it's not based on metered sales, but rather the amount of supply produced. And this is looking at a combination, it's total demands for our potable and recycled water system.
Okay, well, the reason I've started looking at this is I saw this presentation at City Council, and then I wanted to try and compare it to this document for the rest of the Water Commission. This is the document we get every month under the Water Resources Manager's Report. It's usually the first page. It's called Planned and Actual Water Production by Source. And I'm just not seeing a direct correlation between this 18% savings in July and the information on this document. This document is showing very little.
So let me grab the report. So in June, our water system total planned demand was about 1,400 acre feet. It says 1,390 on our table.
Right.
So looking at the chart, that would be the green line, which is about 1,400 in June. And then in June, we actually saw 1,200 acre feet of demand. So that's the red line up on the chart.
And so it's 1,270, that's 18% below 1,552 for July.
Which column are you seeing, 1,270?
July actual.
July actual.
1,270 and the plan was 1,552.
Right. Mine says 1236, but that may be because I'm looking at a preliminary version.
All right. I didn't know you were using production numbers. And I mean, I think just from my perspective and what I wanted to share with the rest of the commission is looking at this in total year to date, you know, we've only seen a less than 3% reduction in actual versus the plan, which is kind of disappointing. And that's fine.
We expected, you know, we did see very high demands in January. We were very concerned about that, which is why we declared the stage 1, was to try and reverse the trend of demands going up because of the dry, hot weather. Typically we expect to see higher demands in dry periods. And so the stage 1 was declared in February, and stage 2 was declared in May. And our goals that we're using for our supply projections assume that the community meets the 20% target starting in June. So we made those adjustments because we weren't seeing the savings in the early months based on the voluntary reductions.
Am I on? Regarding the difference between metered sales and water production, we've seen a lot of times in the past that there are discrepancies between these numbers, and there are uses of waters that don't show up very well in the metered sales. So I think it's appropriate that we're using the production numbers, and even those gauges could be subject to some errors, of course.
This shows the total water saved, again, with our goals. By June was when we really were counting on people to meet the 20% reduction. And so between June and September, which is the remainder of our water year, we're looking to see a total savings of 1,200 acre feet over that 4-month period. And so June and July have been a huge improvement compared with the previous months in terms of water conservation, and we're hoping that continues and that we're able to make up the difference. If we can get another roughly 600 acre feet of savings in August and September, we'll be very close to meeting our goal of 1,200 acre feet. This chart is a breakdown of each of our customer classes and the different tiers of water use, just to explain where the water is typically being used. We have single-family residential on the far left is by far our largest demand compared with the other customers. It's primarily because we have the most accounts. We have about 19,000 accounts for single-family residential. And about half of our water is in tiers 2 and tier 3, which are the green and the red bars. And so we're really targeting the water usage in tier 2 and tier 3, which is considered more discretionary use in our messaging. Supplemental water, our goal was to get about 4,500 acre feet of supplemental water purchases, and we've been working with CCWA for several months and have secured water from Vandenberg Air Force Base, about 1,150 acre feet. That is water stored in San Luis Reservoir. We also have contracts with Biggs West, Gridley, and Mojave Water Agency for another 1,800 acre feet. And in addition, we have banked water at Dudley Ridge. That's water that the city's state water that was put into storage in the groundwater basin. And we would look to try and get that water back next year if needed. And right now, the state water pipeline is running at full capacity to deliver all this water. So it's the pipeline going from San Luis Reservoir into Cachuma Reservoir, and it will be flowing at full capacity all the way to January to deliver this water. And so we're holding off on additional purchases at this time and going to see what next winter looks like before purchasing additional water. But there is room in the pipeline next year if we have another year with 5% state water allocation and need to fill the gap. So our infrastructure...
1 moment, Ms. Dyer.
I just wanted to ask, the fish release issues and the downstream releases, they don't interfere with our ability to take state water right now?
Not right now, because CCWA has implemented a temporary fix. There was an issue a few months back, if you recall. The Hilton Creek watering system failed, and the Bureau had to use the outlet works to do fish releases, which did limit our ability to deliver state water into Cachuma. So CCWA installed a temporary pipeline it's an above-ground pipeline that bypasses the outlet works and brings the water into a different location in the lake, which resolves the issue of imprinting, which is a concern for per the biological opinion. So for right now, it's a temporary fix, but we should not have any limitations due to the biological opinion to receive the water.
Is that something they're thinking about leaving there? Because that seems like a good idea.
I think we'll have to look at a long-term fix and see how much that costs.
Thank you.
So the city's capacity in the pipeline from San Luis to Cachuma is about 3,000 acre feet. This is about 20% of our total annual demand. So it's not enough to meet all of our demands. It's just a portion. And without the state water system, to convey the supplemental water, which we purchased this year, we would be looking at a 40% shortfall next year. Lake Cachuma is about 33% of capacity. It's important to note that not all of that is water for the Cachuma member units. Some of it is downstream water rights. And so the remaining deliverable project water, which is for the South Coast member units, as well as Santa Ynez River Water Conservation District ID1, the remaining deliverable water is expected to be 21,500 by October. All of the member units have agreed to take a 50% or 55% reduction in our entitlement for next water year, which begins October. And the hope is to have some supply remaining into 2016. And we've been in discussions with the Bureau of Reclamation regarding fish release requirements. Our biological opinion states that once project water reaches 30,000 acre feet, that fish releases can be reduced. It doesn't go into specifics on how exactly that would happen. It does. The Bureau will have to consult with National Marine Fisheries Service, and I'm sure there are going to be concerns with the timing and the months, and there may be some seasonality that they want to factor in. So they are currently in discussions on how that might look. Water rights releases of this is the downstream water rights for that's non-project water. They are planning to release 6,000 acre feet in August. So you will see a lot of water being released from the dam, and that is not our water, that is non-project water.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair and Chairman, the drought response capital projects, we have the recycled water system projects. I'll be telling you about our update for our groundwater projects, our desalination plant, and the comb pumping project. So first, the recycled water system projects. As you know, we have the tertiary treatment plant, and currently it is in construction, and it's anticipated to be online by summer of 2015 with a capacity of 1,400 acre feet per year. We also have a Val Verde well project. We anticipate that we will be getting 300 acre feet per year from this, and it's anticipated to be online at the end of this October. And this is going to be a non-potable groundwater source that we will be pumping into our recycled water system. Last month I mentioned...
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Excuse me.
I know that we have a performance term in the recycled project construction contract. Do you happen to know what that date is?
Actually, there's a presentation later on about the recycled... No, there is not. I'm sorry. I do not know that date, but the engineer, Lisa?
You mean the date of completion?
Yes. That's fine. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So the next slide is the last time I I showed you a paper copy of the tertiary treatment plant, their construction webcam. This is a shot that was taken today to update you, to show you where we are. So they've set the forms, and they've poured the concrete for the groundwork. So hopefully the next month we will see us coming up out of the ground. Then our groundwater projects, our highlights are our Alameda well replacement. If we recall, the Alameda well in Alameda Park has failed, and we're trying to drill a new well. We do have a site that we've located. We've all decided that will work for everyone. We will be going to the Parks and Rec Commission on August 27th of this year to present the project to that commission, and we're also scheduled to be online with this project this summer of 2015. Our high school well, our consultant is conducting water quality testing to see if it's going to be of a quality that we can put directly into the distribution system, or it is something that we're going to have to pipe down to or take a groundwater treatment plant for treatment there. And then our Veracruz well, we had an electrical failure, and we've issued an emergency purchase order to make the repairs. The repairs, I was recently told, will not happen by the end of this month, but hopefully shortly thereafter. Also, the City Hall well, we had a pump failure, and an emergency purchase order has been issued to make these repairs. And again, the contractor should be on site, and we hope to have the repairs done shortly next month, but it will not be by the end of this month. Our upcoming desal project milestones, we plan to have a desalinization project update to council on September 23rd. We'll have a lot of information on that date, but I just wanted to mention what our upcoming milestones are. This first is the September 23rd, and that's going to be we'll present a summary of all the preliminary design findings with recommendations and project estimates. In November of 2014, we'll release it. Actually, it'll be an RFQ for design, builds, operate services. In February 2015, we hope to receive proposals for these services. And in April of next year, we'll be to council to consider an award depending on the water supply status. By then, we will pretty well know where we stand after the winter rains, whether we need desal or not. In summer of 2016, we're projected to start the desalinization operations. The supply strategy for the Desal Timeline, this is a similar chart to what Ms. Dyer showed with each year and the different water supplies from our water portfolio. And so in year 3, which is 2014, we've begun the pre-design. And in year 4, which is 2015, consider award of the design, build, operate contract. And within year 5, 2016, the desalinization facility would be online. And it would be online in time for the year 6, which is 2017, which will, if we do not have inflows into our reservoirs and no state water, that will be critical need for water.
Is this contingent on some sort of permitting that we don't have in hand?
This is, of course, contingent on permitting at this point. I'm not sure the status of that right now. We'll know more at the meeting on September 23rd, where we stand with that. But, of course, we would have to have permitting in hand, yes.
At the city council meeting, you mean?
Yes.
So do you be getting information from the Coastal Commission or the state board or something?
That's anticipated. That there's a lot of activities going on right now, between now and then, yes.
Thanks.
September 23rd, so you've scheduled that as your city council report?
Yes.
Are you going to be able to give us a September update?
I'm not sure. I don't want to promise that because there's a lot of things happening very quickly, and I would imagine there'll be an update. I doubt that it'll be exactly the same update that will be given to council, because again, a lot of information is coming in, and the consultants and staff are working really hard on this is a very quick timeline.
Thank you.
The comb pumping project. This project is still scheduled to be online by the end of September of this year. The total cost for the capital and operation through March of 2015 is about $6.1 million. And the city's shared cost is $2.2 million. And as for grant funding, the city received preliminary approval for a $500,000 California Department of Public Health grant. And we have to follow up with City Council with a resolution that's forthcoming. And the IRWIM grant, it's a regional grant application, has been submitted for approximately $2 million for this project.
Ms. Taylor, and that IRWIMP grant, would that just go to the project overall, not specifically to the city's portion?
Well, it would be this. My understanding would be the city's portion towards that project.
Okay, thank you.
And we're hoping that we'll see this soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Ms. Dyer, I have a question. The graph you showed about the different users by tier, I was hoping at some point to see that with current conservation measures, and I know there was some uncertainty of whether or not we would actually have those numbers by now, but I was just wondering if we had any indication at all of where conservation was being successful.
We have seen some preliminary charts from June that are similar to this format, and we were seeing a reduction in the tier 2 and tier 3 usage for single family. It was noticeable, so that was good. I think we're seeing it across the board though, so I think everybody is cutting back in all of the customer classes.
When those numbers are not as preliminary, it'd be great to see that. Thank you.